Hi, baby boomer fans. We are Jackie and Janine, the Pfeiffer sisters, and love to talk about the 1950s, inviting you to reminisce with us as we explore experiences of that decade. Grab your favorite malt or Green River. Make sure you are wide awake and get ready to be inspired about the 1950s. Welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat.
Hello, folks. We're so glad that you are joining us today because, my goodness, this is another exciting fun chat. And it's so Christmas related. You will just enjoy it so much. Very unique. Jackie, would you agree with me?
I certainly do. But welcome, everyone. And as always, I ask you to take a look at that purple banner below. On it, you'll see words in white that says, the words say, www.whilethewindmillwatch.com. That is the location where you will find all sorts of information about the book, which is up in the upper right-hand corner, the vendors of the book, the activities of the authors, and past 1950s fun chats. Janine, what's the magic number today?
This is number 171.
Woohoo, 171. We've been doing this for 2 years, and we've learned so much about 1950s history as well as other areas. So the book I keep speaking about is in the upper right-hand corner, While the Windmill Watched, a slice of rural America in the 1950s. And what we do with our 19 Fun Chats is to enhance and extend the information that is of rural America. Note the little white dot. That is a little award that the book received, an independent press award in the regional category as the distinguished favorite. And this happened in a year after it was published. It was published in 2021. So on with our program as we begin with asking the question, is it an obsession? Is it a hobby? Or perhaps both in the case of Dr. Dennis Ohrtman's nativity collection. A 44-year veteran of the Spanish classroom, he had no real intention of hoarding. However, today, 445 nativity sets cower together in the storage unit, hoping to escape their bondage of Kleenex tissue, paper towels, and bubble wrap to enjoy the Christmas skies. Born in 1947, Dennis calls now you'll have to help with this because I'm not, Algona, Iowa. Is that correct? You two Iowans? Okay.
Yeah, I graduated from Algona, yes.
Okay. This is his hometown. A list of higher education degrees and travel experiences decrees that he is well educated. A BA from Augustana University in Sioux Falls, South Dakota in Spanish and journalism. An MA from the University of South Dakota with work in Escuela Diplomática.
Yeah, Escuela Diplomática. You're close there.
In Madrid. And he also participating in a Fulbright scholarship in Ecuador, PhD work in Renaissance Spanish literature, and a second round of PhD in educational research at the University of Idaho, just to name a few. Dennis will tell us how a very long list of professional careers, travel, and a passion for community volunteering are woven into the stories of his nativity sets. For work and for pleasure, Dr. Ohrtman has had the great fortune to travel to countries where collecting nativities just happened. Collecting seemed somewhat harmless at the time, and still does, sort of. But now, however, his 3 grown children live in fear of becoming the recipient of his well over 1,700 pieces. His wife, Dr. Carol, is a tolerant bystander, unless Christmas extends past June 30th. So, Dennis, welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat.
I'm pleased to be with you.
Okay, we have lots of questions, and they'll just pop up spontaneously, but tell us the beginning, please, of that very first nativity that joined your now horde.
The nativity was a very innocent present, wedding present that I received from one of my college students and his wife. It was a 3-piece terracotta. It's fairly large, and I'll show it to you here in just a moment. It's not far from me. But it resided in a niche in a Mexican-style fireplace that we had in our Mexican home that actually had a place for a nativity set. And they knew that. They were familiar with the home. And that was our first gift. We had it in that home for 12 years and didn't really get too excited about any kind of collecting. My sister sent me a white ceramic normal set, and we went across town, across the river into Clarkston, Washington, and there was another white set available for $10, which was a huge amount of money. Believe me, I paid a lot more for them since then.
Yeah.
But that $10 that we parted with was difficult for the third set. And then things didn't much happen until we moved into some world travel and some just curiosity about the nativities. I suppose Mexico was the next round for us. In the street markets, we didn't have a lot of money. We were studying in Morelia, and we purchased down in the regular street market a regular typical Mexican set, and I think I have 8 or 9 of them here. My girls got Mexican sets. One of my daughters lost hers in a fire a few years ago. But those have always been part of our life because that's what we could afford in the streets. We couldn't afford to buy other things. We were just beginning the process of feeding Eric, which was going to be a real challenge for the rest of our life.
And this is your son?
Yes.
Okay. I like how
he's a tall drink of water. There's a lot of area to.
I like how you put that. We were just in the process of beginning to feed him. Yeah, cool.
So that's how it began. And you mentioned other countries. What countries have you collected them from or have been gifted?
Well, mostly from Mexico, from Spain, from El Salvador, just a piece or two that we could get in the streets when I was there building habitat houses with Thrivent. And then in Ecuador, I picked up an awful lot and became really enamored with different cultures through Puerto Rico. I was a college accreditor for NCATE at that time, now CAPE, and I traveled all over the United States and did 41 university accreditations and then 9 in Puerto Rico at public schools and 2 at private. So I had a lot of time to go to the markets and to see the things that were being made. And Puerto Rico is a real import center. And I really fell in love with a Peruvian shop that became my nightmare and became my wife's nightmare for the next, I was there 13 times in Puerto Rico. Carol was with me 5 times. So we have, we found the nativity shops, and there were plenty of them. And we helped the economy of Puerto Rico without a doubt.
I'm sure they're grateful for that. Well, you have a variety. You've mentioned that are these ones from Mexico and from South America or in that vicinity? Are they made with paper mache or with wood or what?
Most of them are plaster. Some of them are marzipan from Ecuador, which is a very popular medium there. Some are wood carved. Some that I have from Guatemala and Honduras are terracotta baked. Some are wood. Some are just hand carved. It's interesting to see that each one is slightly different. And it makes the whole adventure fun.
Yes.
And I have everything from metal to paper mache. I have one set that I don't have in this building, but in the Heritage House. Maybe I should tell you a little bit about what we're in, which is kind of strange. You may see the lights kind of flicker a little bit. There are motion lights in this building. This is the replica of the first Idaho Territorial Capitol building. And the lighting is a little bit strange in here. I was hoping for a little bit brighter day for all of you, but we'll still have a good chance to see some of the nativities.
Okay. Do you have any musical nativities?
Well, I have a few that are musical. I suppose 10 or so. I'd have to go looking for them.
Okay.
I discovered yesterday that I had one. I was all excited about being a new nativity this year, and I have an exact copy of it. So there's one in each building.
Would you say that you have a favorite nativity?
Oh yes.
Out of all of these?
Oh yes, I have
Will
a favorite.
show us that one?
Yeah, I can do that. Let's see if I can get us focused. I'll do a little bit of walking here and see if I can get there. Why don't I, right as we're going for the favorite, I'll try to show you the first one because it is right here.
It's beautiful.
Can you see that piece?
Yes.
Right next to it is an acrylic piece that I purchased this year, which
I love that.
Which is lots of fun when the light comes through it. But my favorite piece, see if I can get to it here. I'll have to do a little bit of fudging. Can you? There is a purple piece back there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because I like the purple. I don't know if you can see it or not.
We can see it.
It's just a little 4-piece with 2 yamas in front of it. And that's by far my favorite piece.
Why is because of the color? Is that your favorite?
Yeah, the color, the design, happiness. And I think so typical with the beautiful, and I'll pull a piece up here so that you can see it a little bit better. See if I can show you. I don't know where I'm going with it.
That's better. Oh, there we go.
There you go. You can see the design on it is just lots and lots of fun.
Yes. And that one was purchased where?
That's a Puerto Rican piece, a Peruvian piece that I purchased in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So as I'm on this end, I might try to tell you another fun story. If you want a fun story.
You bet.
Yeah, this is a fun chat.
Well, I hope so. Excuse me. In 1992, I was a cultural ambassador from the United States to Spain. And in that process, I traveled with the king. And I had a request to sing Ave Maria in Toledo to a cloister of nuns. And it was a really odd request. And I really, in those days, had to faxed home to Carol and asked her to give me a copy. Good Lutheran stock. I hadn't sung Ave Maria except for fun because it was not something that was going to be sung in the Lutheran church, At that time. The world has changed.
Yeah.
And so I was cultural ambassador to the Olympics and to the opening of the World's Fair. And I had taken a group of 681 students with me to Spain.
That's a group.
As the head chaperone of student exchange. Well, in that process, I sang to these nuns standing outside through a grate, through a door to a whole bunch of nuns as far as I could see. There was, the nuns were cents and dollars worth. I mean, they were everywhere. And at the end of the process, they gave me a piece, and I don't know how I'm going to show you, except I'm going to take one off the tree. And I think that might be the easiest way to see if I can get it, because I don't know how the camera works here.
There you go. Go over more towards your right. Okay.
Yeah,
So this is a king. Now this is plaster of Paris. Good old-fashioned plaster of Paris, Jackie, that we used in the schools to make pins for our mothers back in the Midwest, and all of those kinds of things that the teachers had us do with plaster of Paris.
Plaster of Paris. I can remember a plaster of Paris project.
So this set has 3. Now it's not coordinated at all, but it is probably for me one of the most fun because it has with it 3 kings,
Oh, huh.
It has two babies, so you can have a baby of choice. You
Oh
know?
my goodness.
Are they different colors? So the baby's
Oh
different
yeah,
colors?
the babies are totally different. Babies are totally different. One is extremely, one is dark like
Yes.
this, rather crudely painted, and another one is really bright. Whoops,
The other, yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
Real-
yes.
really bright yellow.
Mhm.
Would
Well,
these have been painted by adults?
these were painted by adults, by the
Okay.
nuns,
Mhm.
and it came with. And here's the trick: I have a hippopotamus
Oh,
in the nativity set. I have a peacock, a train, a
Hmm.
sheep, a llama, and an elephant.
huh.
Now, if that isn't the oddest nativity
Yeah.
gift,
Yes.
Mary and Joseph by that time have abdicated and left the baby on its own. Yeah.
Aw.
So what you're looking at right behind me is the nativity tree, and I'm not far enough away for you to see the whole tree, but that has about 60 some different ornaments on it that are all nativity ornaments, and those have been fun to collect from my kids, people who've made them for me. Hobby Lobby, of course. Maybe once in a while I find something that I find really eccentric, or a felt piece that I get to purchase somewhere. And they're always intrigued with that because there are probably 8 different total sets that have the kings and Joseph and Mary and the baby and shepherd. They're actually in there, but it's bright and colorful. And that's really probably one of my most fun.
Uh-huh.
I'm in such a great place to show you a couple of things. It's a little bit of a dark corner over here, but I'm going to show you one from this year. I'm going to turn around, and I have here a Christmas tree where I have lots of tiny ones, but
Uh-huh.
I'm going to show you one in particular that I think is kind of fun. This one is in a bottle, and I'm going to put it up by my.
How unique.
Cool.
Yes.
Time in a
So
bottle.
tiny.
Yeah.
And there are dozens of these little ones. For example, from Puerto Rico, this is a very good example of what. Let's see. I still don't have this camera down.
Yeah, go over to your right.
Okay, I'm going to go.
Yes.
There we go. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And you.
Yes.
Oops.
The other way, the other right.
Put it in front of your chin, sort of. The
Yeah.
other way.
The other way.
There.
There we go. It's on a seashell.
Oh.
And I have some here in walnuts, for example. And they're kind of fun. But the little ones are intriguing to people. I have them with coquilles. I have sets with almost any animal that you could possibly want. I don't know if you can see
The other
this
way. Go the other way, Dennis.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Thank you.
Nice.
That's in a wall.
Goodness.
Oh.
That's in a walnut.
Yes.
Wow.
What do you ever see any when you're looking around or hoarding or whatever you're doing, and do you ever see nativity sets that are for sale that you think, oh gee, I just can't stand the look of this one, I have to go walk by it?
Yeah, I do, and I have
Okay.
some, and I have some here that are as ugly as sin twice.
Wow.
And I think, oh well, why did I ever get involved with this set? And that the real problem with that is that what I think is beautiful and ugly is not what somebody else sees as
Exactly.
beautiful and ugly. I
It's
don't know
kinda
how
how we-
many times.
It's kind of how we are as people too.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to show you just one piece from a wooden set.
Oh,
There we
yes.
go. This is a brand new wooden set that I have that's incredible.
Very interesting.
And
Yeah,
it
use
has
your imagination.
lots and lots of pieces. It's kind of just fun. And this entire table, There is a dress, my granddaughter's dress in the background. And if
Oh,
you
beautiful.
And do you see the huge Peruvian one? That is about 2.5 feet tall, weighs about 40 pounds, well, 30 pounds, and is just an incredible piece. We went looking for this piece. We couldn't find it when we unwrapped. Everybody was sick. We looked and looked and looked in the storage unit, and I had put it in a heater box and hadn't labeled it as a nativity, and I had it really, really well sealed. And I went out there one day and I thought, why would I stick so much tape on a heater box? And there was the nativity. It got lost. And you know, Joseph and Mary and the babies get lost everywhere.
Yeah.
I have pieces here that are just fun. There's an Ecuadorian piece made out of marzipan.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I suppose you don't need my Kleenex in there, but
that wreath is very unique.
There's a 3-piece that I just find adorable.
That reminds me of the Russian Matryoshka dolls. Do you have any of
it? And my son-in-law. It looks like the son-in-law, Pastor Craig, and so I keep it in there because it's special for me.
Okay. So, do you have any Matryoshka doll nativity sets?
Do I have any what?
Matryoshka doll.
Yes, I have one. I'm not sure it's in this building.
Oh, okay.
And I have a lot of fake ones as well. This is the okay. Now, if I move this way,
there we go.
Oh, I might get this eventually. This is the Mexican style that both Carol and I just find so amazing. They're all handmade. They're handmade, but they're made out of molds, and the painting is fun. We've watched people make we watched them make the ones in Ecuador. In fact, I drove 10 miles out of Quito. And it was kind of weird because I got clear out in the country and I got to this place. I got on the wrong bus, and I was out there to buy these nativity pieces because I had seen them online, but I wanted to watch them being made. And there were dozens and dozens of workers making these when I finally got there. But I got so far out on a bus route, I got into the country, got to the wrong place. There was no way out of that place to get to these nativities. And finally, a lady in an old yellow Datsun pickup drove me through back country to get to the town where these are made. And I had a chance to spend hours watching them do hundreds and hundreds of pieces. It probably was the beginning of helping me understand what I would be doing with my sister when my mother was suffering from dementia. And when my mother was suffering from dementia, my sister and I painted at her ceramic studio. And so then the love of this became just 10 times more. And she had orders for dozens of these sets. There we go.
Yes.
And we made, I don't know how many. Sometimes we were painting 40 Marys in a night, in lots of different colors. They were just amazing. But I put that in contrast to something that you pick up that you see, say, oh, who wants this? And it becomes a fun piece. This is a Mary made out of a flower pot.
Oh, yes. How creative.
There's so much creativity here.
Dennis, I'm curious to know, when you're in, for instance, Puerto Rico or some of these countries where you talked about going to find the source of where some of these nativities were being made, do the people who make the nativities, paint them, create them, do they actually receive the funds from the sales, or does that?
Yeah.
Is
Well, yes, especially if you do it that way, if you go see them.
okay?
You know.
And
And when I was on the Fulbright in Ecuador, we were given a certain amount of money to spend, and we had to spend it in the local economy. And so I spent it on nativity sets because I could, it was something that I could see being made. I don't know if I can get this one to focus in for you or not. Do you see the one here with the little balls?
Yes.
Well, that's one that Lorelei made. You have the three kings. You have Joseph, Mary, and the baby, and all of the sheep.
wow.
So part of what happens is both my creative kids, I'm not going to put Eric in that category because I haven't seen him make one, although I have a nice one that he gave me from I think, wait a minute, one from Honduras and one from Nicaragua. But we have my kids make things, and so that becomes even more fun. And one year, we don't have it any longer because it became food. My daughter Dr. Lorelei, is a talented artist, and she made an entire gingerbread nativity set.
Oh,
and it was pretty over the top.
I bet.
Yes. Well, Dennis, when thinking about the 1950s, how did you was there any inspiration whatsoever in your childhood that drew you to the nativities?
No, I don't think so, which was and I've thought about that a lot since you asked it, except, we grew up in a church environment. We went to a little country church, Elfsborg Lutheran in Pomeroy, out of Pomeroy, Iowa, and also to churches in Lytton and Algona in that time. My family still had an old family sleigh, and but it had wheels on it as well because there wasn't always enough snow. But if you had snow, that's how you went to Christmas Eve service. And Christmas Eve service at that little Lutheran church, when my grandfather had hand carved all of the altar and everything that was there, a great grandfather, I should say. And that was inspirational because the men of the church always gave the Christmas presents, and they all took the presents down for the pastor and his wife. And it would be beef and pork and canned tomatoes and all sorts of preserves, and it was really a very interesting thing. Now the ladies did all the work, but the men took the men took everything down there. Well, my family was half Lutheran, and we had a Catholic member who got me involved in going to Catholic midnight mass and Christmas. And so Christmas time just became kind of inspirational, and I began singing in choirs and doing that sort of thing. But as far as nativity sets, I don't know that I honestly remember a single family member who had a nativity set. I think they didn't have any money to speak of, and it just simply wasn't part of them. Now, when I went to Algona, that was a different story, because in Algona, they have a 3/4 size nativity set that was carved by one of the German prisoners of war there in the prisoner of war camp. And it fills an entire building on the fairgrounds in Algona, Iowa. It's a spectacular place to go. And also, the Prisoner of War Museum is there in Algona. It's just a great place to visit on the northern border of Iowa. In fact, we just had friends who went there to see that this last year, and they were most excited about what they saw. That one was pretty inspirational. And we're talking about a nativity that fills a room this size with one set. It just was an incredible carving. and that was a gift to the city.
Mhm.
So that was kind of inspirational. But the 1950s for us in Iowa were work time. I mean, that's my father was a contractor, and so there were houses being built all the time,
Sure.
and worked in restaurants and clothing stores that we had. Just things where it was just a busy time for us. I don't know. I didn't think about nativities. I was too busy being impressed by myself and pretending that I was a banker in my bedroom with an ironing board and bingo chips, as 5 cent, 10 cent, and a quarter, because
Yeah. Yeah.
you had to improvise. And I always wanted to live in an office, and now I live in 3 or 4 offices, and all of them are a nightmare. But in those days, my office was neat, and I didn't have a bed. I never slept in a bed. I always had a sofa bed because my father built these houses and moved on. And so we would pick up and go. And that's what I wanted. I wanted an office, and I had all of my books in the library, and they were all categorized, and I would check them out to myself. And, it was a fantasy world that became another obsession later on.
Whoops.
What a creative mind you have.
There you go.
That's wonderful. So coming out of the 50s at Christmas time, I'm going into the area of family gatherings and the celebrations with food. Were there certain celebrations that you had with your extended family?
Interesting ones.
Oh.
We had the silver aluminum Christmas tree at my Auntie Dode's house, Aunt Doris, and she always had Christmas. And Christmas was a place where Grandma Cole would come, and she would bring lifesaver rolls. And lifesaver rolls were the greatest thing you could get for Christmas. And my kids still give me lifesaver rolls and, various candies that we had in the 1950s that are no longer very popular. You can find them in places, but.
Yes. Did you get the book that opened up and it had?
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. And almost that and ribbon candy. I get ribbon candy for Christmas still.
Mm-hmm.
But we, in our own home, never celebrated Christmas. We had a Christmas tree, but remember, we were always building houses to sell houses. And it was things were being staged, and they were getting ready for somebody else to own the house. And we would have decorations, but we didn't do celebrations. And my mother, bless her heart, was the world's worst cook.
Oh dear.
My
poor mother ended up her life microwaving hot dogs for 30 minutes.
Weren't there fires coming out of that microwave?
Well, yeah, they're crisp at that point, believe me. But we used to joke about visiting my mother because she only had 5 or 6 meals, and the rest simply was my father got involved with the restaurant just for self-preservation. But no, we didn't do any of that. My mother could bake. She was a great she could make cinnamon rolls and donuts and that sort of thing. And I was a skinny little kid at that time, and she used to hang a sign on her refrigerator that would say that mothers love chubby children. Well, I think 77 years later she got her wish. But
Well, did you adopt any cooking skills
or baking skills?
Yeah.
Well, I cook, but Carol you wouldn't want to hear Carol explain what the kitchen looks like when I get done cooking.
Yes.
Because I can find more gadgets, just like I've got a son-in-law who's the same. You can find more gadgets to cook with, and I can get them all dirty, and it's quite a production. But yes, I can cook, and
but
I can't say I spend much time doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Do those gadgets help you turn out great tasting meals?
Do those what? I'm
Do
sorry.
those gadgets that you work with in preparing the meal, does the meal turn out to be pretty stellar?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
So we're almost out of time, and I'd like to know if there are other nativity sets you'd like to show us.
Oh, certainly. I would do that. I'll take you to the other side of the room because we haven't even, there are hundreds here. There are several aisles, and we've only walked down one. I do want to show you the King's table.
Okay.
And the King's table was inspired by Puerto Rico. And there's no doubt about that. And I have incredibly beautiful pieces in this table. Kings, and kings everywhere.
And did the crown come with it?
Oh no, the crown has a nativity all the way around it, which is fantastic. It's all emblazed there, and you can get a little bit of an idea of all of the different kinds of sets that are here. And I'll show you just a couple of examples. The Puerto Rican ones that I particularly like are very hard resin. This one is resin, and it shows the colors. And of course, the three kings are extremely important in Puerto Rico, to the point that there is an entire city that has a museum and all the festivals that go with it. And we have spent time going to that city. Carol and I have spent a lot of time there. In the background, you see some very tall ones. And I have three sets that are out of the same kind of mold. There's one, a brown one. There's a colored one. And then I think that they're clear back in the corner. There's a white one.
Yeah.
And Dennis, why are the kings important there?
It's just the celebration. The kings bring the presents on the 6th of January, as opposed to Santa Claus. Yeah. And so it just becomes important. And so, I'm just going to give you an example of, I have very sophisticated ones to ones right after, in the COVID era. Let's see if I can get this up here where you, I've got to use my other hand to do that. Sorry, I just don't have the dexterity that I need. This one, a guy was just burning by hand with matches outside of a museum, making the three kings on a mortar and pestle, just a good old, this is how you get your spices crushed. And not a very cheap one, and I have ones that are simply don't cost a lot of money to ones that, you pay hundreds of dollars for. And then I suppose I expanded by getting into the African world, getting some of the very interesting African sets with their straw pieces. They're just kind of fun. And some of them just make me giggle. This little set is a favorite because I don't know if you can see, but this is a bare bottom Jesus, which is just adorable. And on this same table, I have a set from Esmeralda, which is the African American province in Puerto Rico, and this one is one of my favorites.
The hair is so neat.
Yeah, just fun. But you can compare these kind of street pieces to ones like Laura Lee made an entire dinosaur set, and here we have she hand made them out of clay, and they're incredible. Has an entire dinosaur set, and we put that in contrast to Here's in the background, maybe you can see. This is a set in the back right there with the 3 mirrors on it.
Yes.
That I got from Betty Belling that was in really, really bad shape. And I thought, oh, can I save this? And last year, it was the only piece we had up at home. It turned out to be so beautiful, and it was in such bad repair, but I had a chance to make it. And we have pieces like this that are very expensive, collector's pieces, the kind you pay several $100s for just to begin buying them. And I have,
we're getting to the end of our conversation. Is there one more set that's really on your heart to show us?
Well, why don't we end with a fun set?
Okay.
We had a lot of German friends, didn't we, Jackie, back in the Midwest?
Yes. And Janine was there as well.
So you're going to recognize Brunhilde and, all of that kind of lure that was there. This is my gnome set with Mary.
Cool.
Does that look familiar to you?
Not the gnome. I'm sorry,
no.
I don't.
No, not a gnome. It's a German.
Fish.
It's a German set with gnome hats on them.
I see.
That is quite unique.
Yeah,
it's incredible. It really is. Every place I turn, I can pick up something that just excites me because it's it's different. I have mice, I have moose, I have bears, bear nativities. I have cats and dog nativities. It's unbelievable. And then I think for me, the most interesting thing, other than color and design, is the fact that when you walk into this room, no one would have a doubt that each one of them has the same topic. Each one of them is about the very same thing.
Yes.
Whether it's about cats or dogs, portraying them, whether it's a precious blessings, it doesn't make any difference. They're all recognizable, and that's what it's all about for me.
Yes. Thank you for this wonderful trip through your collection of nativity scenes. That's so eye-opening. I had no idea that there would be the variety of creativity put forth in nativity sets.
Well, Jackie, you should take the 4-hour drive and come down and visit us during this season.
I have thought of that. I really have.
Well, you would be welcome.
Because of this, it inspired me, and now we at our church are going to ask for nativity sets to be put out and displayed for the New Year's or the Christmas Eve service.
Oh, nice.
So
that'll be fun.
Yeah,
you get to see what everybody finds interesting, and that's just joyful. Everybody who comes through the front door says, "That's my favorite. That's my favorite. That's my favorite." And I try to remember somebody's favorite and try to send them an email. Before this show to say, "Remember this one? You said it was your favorite. Come back and see the others."
Yeah. Sweet. Thank you, Dennis. It's been fun.
Dennis. We appreciate it. It's been fun.
No doubt you have a Merry Christmas just because of all this richness around you.
Yes, and all the friends who come to see it.
Yes.
You bet. Jackie, how can you close our show today?
Oh, I'm going to say thank you, everyone, for joining us. And don't forget to tell your friends or even your relatives about this 1950s fun chat. Until next time, toodaloo.
Bye.